The mushrooms we collect in forests in autumn are the fruiting bodies of mycorrhizal fungi. Certain species of mushrooms can only be found under certain trees. For example, boletes can be found under spruce trees and in birch forests, and bay boletes are most often found under spruce and pine trees. To grow bolete in your own garden, you need mycelium and spores, which you can take with you when picking mushrooms in the forest. The so-called mushroom peels, like peeled stems, roots and cut-off caps, will also be useful. The mushrooms needed for mycelium application should be fully developed and mature, so that they contain both spores from the cap and mycelium from the stem. In the natural environment, the bolete grows in coniferous and mixed forests, and is most often found under Scots pine and Norway spruce. In gardens, it is best to apply mycorrhiza with bolete under these tree species. If you do not have suitable soil, prepare a substrate for cultivation. Crush the mycelium of the bolete along with its spores and mix it with 5 liters of peat, preferably fibrous peat, and 1 liter of charcoal. Instead of charcoal, you can use ash from a bonfire or fireplace where only wood was burned. To improve soil parameters, we add 0.5 liters of gypsum and 0.5 liters of vermiculite or perlite. Additionally, add yeast and sugar, which provide food and a stimulator for the mycelium. Dissolve a cube of fresh yeast in a glass of warm water. Add 3 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons of flour, mix and set aside for an hour, then add to the mushrooms. Sugar is a source of food for yeast and flour for mushrooms, and sugar is also a growth stimulator for mycelium. Research conducted by scientists from the Iraqi Journal of Agricultural Sciences in 2013 showed an increase in oyster mushroom yield by 50% after adding yeast. The results showed that yield and biological efficiency increased with increasing yeast extract concentration. Pour a bucket of water over everything and leave it outside for 2 to 3 weeks, covered with a cloth. Remember that the water should be not chlorinated. It must have access to oxygen. Each species of bolete has its own unique characteristics that allow it to be identified in the field, as well as its cultivation requirements. In Poland, boletes can be found in many regions, but they are most abundant in coniferous and mixed forests. They are especially popular in pine forests, where the soil is acidic and well drained. In such places you can find different varieties of bolete, including white bolete, which is less known but just as tasty as other species. The bolete season in Poland usually starts at the end of summer and lasts throughout autumn. The best time to pick these mushrooms is September and October, when humidity conditions are most favorable. Bunny bolete Xerocomus subtomentosus. It most often grows from summer to autumn in deciduous and coniferous forests. It grows under pine, beech, oak or hazel. Occurring in coniferous and deciduous forests, in thickets, less often in parks. It forms mycorrhiza mainly with oaks, less often with other deciduous trees, e.g. hornbeams or beeches, and in Mediterranean countries also with edible chestnut. The bunny bolete is a mushroom widely distributed throughout Poland. Its natural habitat is primarily deciduous and mixed forests, although it also avoids coniferous forests. It can be found in both clay and gravel soils, although it grows best in moderately moist, slightly acidic soils. Xerocamelus crescenteron. It is common throughout the northern hemisphere in the temperate climate zone. It is very common in Poland. It occurs in coniferous and deciduous forests and parks. It grows on the ground under beech, Scots pine, scarlet oak, sessile oak, pedunculate oak. Fruiting bodies appear from June to November. Brown bolete Imleria badia. It grows in coniferous and mixed forests, sometimes right next to stumps, often in moss. It is most often found under Scots pine and Norway spruce. It produces fruiting bodies from summer to late autumn. The brown bolete is a popular mushroom in Polish forests. It likes coniferous forests, areas away from paths and clearings surrounded by pine trees. The best time for picking is August-November, especially September and October. It is worth looking for it after rains, in moderately humid conditions, on soft forest litter. Bolete does not grow in dry, sandy areas or in very wet places. Lesser-known boletes include: the truncated dry mushroom Xerocamelus porosporus grows in deciduous and mixed forests on the ground, especially under oaks, hornbeams, and pines. Dusted dry mushroom Xerocamelus pruinatus. It grows in various types of coniferous and deciduous forests. Fruit bodies appear from September to November, most abundantly after cooling. Bolete coarsely reticulated, bolete ribbed. It occurs only in Europe. It is missing in Scandinavia, but it is in Iceland. It grows mainly in mountain coniferous forests and under beech trees, especially on sandy soils. Reddish park mushroom, Hortiboletus rubellus. It occurs in Europe and North America, where it was probably introduced along with tree seedlings from Europe. It is rare everywhere, not very common in Poland. It occurs from July to September in deciduous forests under oaks, lindens, and birches. Peach mushroom Rhubarbariboletus armeniacus. A very rare species in Poland. Only 2 of its sites are mentioned in the mycological literature, in Jano Lubelski and Kuznica Białostocka. It is on the red list of plants and fungi of Poland. Jesko habitat, shady, warm deciduous forests, mainly under oak trees. Occurs from June to October. Chestnut sandstone, chestnut bolete Gyroporus castaneus. Rare in Poland. It is on the red list of plants and fungi of Poland. It occurs in deciduous forests, mainly under oak trees, on sandy soils, and avoids calcareous soils. It produces fruit bodies from July to October. Therefore, the next stage is application under an appropriate tree. It is best if these are relatively young trees, between 5 and 10 years old. We pour the mycelium so that it gets directly onto the tree roots. Dig several small holes around the tree trunk. Several doses can be used for large trees with an extensive root system. After administering the preparation, cover the holes and water abundantly. In the case of edible forest mushrooms, it is best to apply in periods when the soil is wet and when the ground temperature exceeds 10 degrees Celsius. Ideal conditions prevail in spring and autumn. For successful cultivation, you need at least 3 trees of a given species for a specific type of mushroom, with which the mycelial hyphae will be able to enter the mycorrhiza. The more trees, the greater the chance of obtaining a mushroom fruiting body. Next, pour about 0.5 liters of previously prepared substrate with mushrooms, cover with a 5 cm layer of soil. Dig holes around the tree at a distance of 50 cm to 5 meters, 15 cm deep and about 40 cm in diameter. The larger the diameter of the tree trunk, the further we can dig holes. The optimal distance will be 10 tree trunk diameters. The tree's roots reach twice the size of the tree's crown itself. Fill the holes with garden soil with peat, preferably deacidified or soil from the forest if you have it. It is best to mulch the place where the mycelium is to be applied with bark, pine needles or forest leaves. You can water it with a small amount of water from time to time, especially if there has been no rainfall for 2 weeks. The first fungi may appear 2 to 3 years after vaccination. The best time for such sowing is when it is in nature. So if we currently have an outbreak of bolete in the forest in September, October, or November, we do it in this month. There are then optimal conditions that will guarantee the survival and development of the mycelium. If mushrooms spread their spores from under their caps in a given month, this will be the best time. If rainfall is low, the newly inoculated place with mycelium should be watered regularly. To ensure that the mycelium in your garden is preserved and does not dry out, you need to control the soil moisture, water it and feed the mycelium with water and sugar. 10 grams of sugar per 10 liters of water.